Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to another Monday Verse Day. Okay guys, so today I want to talk about prayer. We're doing this thing at church, and it's a series called Fresh Wind, and we just recently talked about prayer, and I started thinking to myself, how much do I pray? How much do I have that encounter with God, by myself, just on my own, doors closed, TV off, electronics off, everything else away, just me either on my knees or just personally talking to God about things. How much and how often do I pray? I came to the realization that, it's not enough. I may do it like once when I wake up in the morning, once when I go to bed, and maybe I'll pray over my food. Okay, that's about it. We talked about two keys in prayer, and it was purity and persistence. And what I want to dwell on is persistence. Think about it for 2 seconds. How much has God given you? Now take some time and think about how much do you thank Him for? Not a lot. We just kind of take things for granted, and that's what we're going to do. We're humans. We're only human. We're going to take everything that God has given us more than likely for granted, and that's just how we are. But then we think to ourselves, well, I do pray in the morning and at night before I go to bed, so that's okay, right? Technically, you are obeying Him, but you are not doing it to the max, to the fullest as you should. Prayer can be for anything. When you go somewhere, say, God, thank you so much for getting me here safely. But do we do that? Not really. I don't do it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I do not do it. I don't. And I've been trying to instill it into my brain that I need to pray more. But it doesn't need to come from my brain. It needs to come from my heart. Because if it doesn't, really that prayer is useless. You hear everyone say, God knows the cry of your heart. Well, if that's true, you can't just say, oh, I need to pray just because. No, you need to pray if you feel it. Maybe I just don't feel it, but do I want to falsely do that? Do I want to, just to humor God? I'm not going to do that and Him know that it's not true. I want it to come from my heart, and if it's not, and that's the thing we talked about, the other key, purity. If it's not from your heart and you're praying it, what good is it doing? Also, I want to talk about the fact that we need to do more on the spot praying. When somebody will say, I'm dealing with this, they'll be like, oh, I'll pray for you. And we just kind of walk away from the situation. We go home and we don't do it. We need to become a generation that learns to put hands on the person right in front of you and say, I will pray for you right here and now. There is no better time. I'm not waiting any longer. I will pray with you right here and now. Because what good does it do to say, oh, I will, and then don't do it? What good does that do? God tells us, love Him and love people. To me, if you love me enough to stop me in my tracks and pray with me right then and there about my struggles, what I'm going through, that would show me more love than anything. You can give me a hug, but it would not make me feel better if I feel terrible. But if you were to grab me and say, let's go somewhere quiet and pray together, oh my gosh, I would just be ecstatic. I'd be like, this person actually cares for me. They're actually taking time out of their day to pray with me. Prayer could change anything. God will hear our prayers. It can change hearts. That one person you just wish would understand what God could do for them. You want them not to feel upset. You don't want them to be depressed, so angry all the time. If you were to pray to God to change their hearts, He will start to work in that person, and you will be astounded by the things that God will do through and from prayer. It is so powerful, and we take it for granted each and every day. Look outside, look at all the creation around us that God has given us to look at, to live with, and we don't even thank Him for it. Why not? Be like, God, thank you for this beautiful day. I'm sending this prayer to you because I am so thankful, but I know that as a human being, I am I am a sinner, and I take everything that you've done for me for granted. Prayer is the key. Literally, prayer is the key. It can change lives, and God will see that. I know it's hard to pray for people. Oh my gosh, when I first became a Christian, I was like, I need to work on myself. I am so filthy. I need to pray for myself, get myself right. And I was so focused on myself. But what about the guy sitting next to me in my class? What about the girl sitting across the cafeteria that may need my help, that I just turn my head away from because I don't want to worry about their struggles? It's so selfish. We started this thing, this semester. Take the time to walk across the room. The person across the room, right there, maybe 10 feet from you, may need more help in their life because they are struggling but not willing to admit it to everyone in public because they don't want to seem weak. And the truth is, we are all weak. None of us are strong. We are powerless. But the man upstairs can take care of that with one simple prayer, with one cry of your heart. And I think that is so amazing. How can you be like, that's terrible? Like, what? What do you mean? That is amazing. It can be life-changing, heart-altering. The heart of stone can become something that becomes on fire for Christ and for God. And you can do that. You can help that by praying and saying, God, even if you don't know what the person's going through, God, this person is going through something I don't really know, but they need help, And we just don't take the time. We don't take the time. And I'm not saying it's because we're selfish. It's because we don't think about it. We have so much on our mind. I got to do this later. I got to do this later. And then we totally forget that we even told that person that we were going to pray for them. And that should not be the case. Take the time, stop, pray with that person right then and there if they say they need prayer. Because it could change so much. Because God is listening. If it is the true cry of our heart, He is listening to us. And we don't have to prove ourselves to Him. He already knows what we want, what our hearts want. We are righteous. We don't have to strive to be righteous. Once we notice that God was God and He is the Lord of everything, we became righteous. We do not have to fight for that anymore. We do not have to fight for self-righteousness. That is amazing. But I don't want to get off topic. The thing is, prayer. Pray. Pray about. I've learned to pray about everything. And it's almost stupid. Like if you stumble and you almost fall, you're like, oh God, thank you. I didn't fall and embarrass myself. Thank you for saving me. And people think that's really funny, and I'm like, but I'm serious. I'm really taking the time to thank God for little things like that. And some people say, well, that's useless. Why not just pray about big things? Well then, eventually the big things don't seem so big when they're in the past. And who's to say that this small thing won't affect this person just as much as this big thing is affecting the other person? You don't know. People take things differently, so you just got to learn to work with it, work with God, work with the people around you. Love God, love people. That's what this is, through prayer, love God, love people. And I think that's all I have to say to you. Thanks for watching. Hey, this week is the first week in July, so this Wednesday is Wednesday Word Day. Check it out. Go like the Facebook page. Follow me on Vine now. You can follow me on Vine. I got an Instagram. I got a Twitter. Hit it up. Thanks for watching.